Hey there! Today I will show you how to make a classic French omelette. It's an omelette that is runny in the middle and it has no brown color on the surface. It's a little bit tricky, but I will show you the technique step by step. Let's get to the recipe. So for the omelette you will need eggs, preferably fresh because they have better taste. Butter, I prefer to use butter for omelets because it gives an amazing flavor. A clove of garlic, a heat-proof silicone spatula, and a non-stick pan. That's really important that you have a non-stick pan. Without that you won't be able to make a perfect omelette. So I'll crush the garlic, peel it. I'm not gonna add garlic inside the omelette, but I'm gonna just use the taste with this technique by piercing it with a fork. Then beat eggs in a bowl. Add a little bit of salt. You can add a little bit of milk if you want. I prefer to make it without milk. Meanwhile, let's preheat the pan. Low temperature, that's really important. Don't overheat your pan. And just beat the eggs like that. You can use a whisk, but the fork allows you to use this technique with the garlic by piercing it. After that I will remove the garlic, but the omelette will still have a garlic taste. So beat that until it's totally homogeneous. When you lift your fork like that, it immediately flows down into your omelette. When you beat the eggs, it's important that they don't incorporate too much air. So if you hold the fork like that, it's gonna incorporate a lot of air. You will have a lot of foam here, and this foam won't look good on the pan because it will give a lot of holes. So what you can do is you can hold the fork like that, beat the eggs in this way, so it doesn't incorporate a lot of air, and your eggs won't have bubbles. Because when you put eggs on the pan, start frying it, and if it has bubbles, your omelette will have a lot of holes eventually, which is not good. So just hold the fork in this way. And it's very important to beat all the egg whites, all the pieces, because if you don't beat the egg whites thoroughly enough, your omelette will have white spots. Make sure to beat the eggs thoroughly in this way. That's another reason why it's better to use a fork instead of a whisk, hand whisk, because hand whisk incorporates a lot of air. That's okay. If there is any foam on the surface, feel free to remove it with a spoon, because it will make your omelette really ugly. So it's really important to try not to incorporate too much air while beating the eggs, or something like that. So let's add a tiny piece of butter to grease the pan. Distribute it along the bottom, then pour your eggs in. Distribute them as well, and just wait. So you need to use the low temperature because it allows you not to make your omelette brown on the surface. At the same time it gets cooked, it keeps its shape. If you have a good non-stick pan that evenly distributes the heat, you won't have this problem that I have right now. So because my pan is not really good quality, and it gets hotter in the center, which is not really good, but I can also take it into account and slightly move the pieces of eggs to the center because it gets cooked faster. However, if you have a good non-stick pan, you don't really need to do this because it will distribute the heat evenly. I try to put more eggs to the middle because it gets cooked better, faster in the center. At the same time, not ruining the bottom layer. So I set the lowest temperatures. I just want to make sure it doesn't get brown. It's really important. If it gets brown, it's not gonna work. It's really important to catch the right moment when it's still running in the middle, but if you do this too early, your runny egg is gonna just smear your plate and it's not gonna look good. So you really got to catch the right moment to do this. If your pan is little, you can start mixing the eggs in the very beginning, making like kind of scrambled eggs, and then you can leave them like that. So it will allow them to be cooked faster without your omelette getting brown. Okay, we're almost there. Remove the heat. Now the trickiest part. You got to roll your omelette very carefully with the spatula, keeping the runny part in the middle. Try not to tear it apart while doing it, because the shape is really important. At the same time, I try to keep the runny part in the very middle to wrap it around the omelette. So when you do that, you can put the pan back so it's straight, because if you keep it tilted at an angle all the time, the runny part is gonna just flow to the edge. That's what you don't need. So I slightly detach it from the pan. Boom, boom. Then I give it a final flip in the very end, and here we go. Perfect French omelette. It's still running in the middle at the same time. It has no brown color. It's very silky. So I'm gonna serve it right now. And here it is, classic French omelette. It's perfectly yellow on the surface, no brown colors. It's runny in the middle. This is the final plating. Let me try it. I'm gonna cut it through. And as you can see, there's this runny middle. Yeah, that's really good. The eggs are super fresh, which gives an amazing taste. There is slight flavor of garlic, even though there is no garlic inside. That's because I used the stick or the fork. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This recipe is quite tricky, I admit. It took me several attempts before I succeeded to do this on the very first time. But I basically showed you the technique. Now you know how to do this. And if you practice it a little, I think you will succeed, you will manage to do this. That's it. That's the recipe. If you like the video, give it a like. Let me know in comments what you think about this video, and you can subscribe to my channel to see my new videos. Thank you for watching.